All right, welcome to the Rockhound Podcast. Today we have a guest, Jared from Currently Rockhounding, and he's going to be joining us throughout this podcast. And we're going to ask him questions. He can ask us some questions if he has any. All right, Jared, if you want to go ahead and lead us off, we'll start with the introductions and we'll do
Uh,
alphabetically.
my name is Jared. I run the Currently Rockhounding YouTube channel. We've been kind of really going strong for about a year now, but we started the channel back in 2019 and really just as kind of a way to, well, showcase some of our own like rockhounding adventures, as well as like put high quality information out there for people. So that's we have a rockhounding variety show.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm Karen Britt, and I'm from Ozone Fine Art Ventures, and we definitely do the beach all the way clear up through the far east of Oregon and hopefully farther. And hey, Kurt, what do you do?
So my name's Kurt with I almost said Currently Rockhounding, but that's not it. It's Rockhounding.Adventures. Jeez, can't talk tonight. Rockhounding.Adventures, and my name's Kurt. I am out in Western Colorado. I hunt the rivers and mountains, and as well starting to do lapidary. So yeah,
Nice.
be awesome.
That's going to be a fun adventure.
Yeah.
I'm Kyle with World of Rockhounds. This hobby, and if I can rockhound, I will. But lately, it's been mostly stuff out of the shop. But in the future, I'll be doing some more rockhounding stuff when I have time. All right, so Kurt, I think you have some questions. If you want us to kind of get things rolling. Actually, before we do, we have to kind of follow up from last week. What did you guys do this week? And we'll start with Jared.
Well, I posted a video, Makers Challenge video, slice of pizza video. And I also, just today, I posted a video on some onatite that I found. We have a lot of former uranium mines here in Northeast Washington, that's where I'm at, Northeast Washington. I didn't say that before, but onatite is a radioactive mineral. It's like uranium, and it's all over here. We have about 100 square mile area where you can go up and find it. So
nice.
That's kind of what I did.
Yeah, I watched that video. I'm like, man, those pretty cool specimens.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, Karen, what'd you do?
Let's see. It was a chock-a-block week. And we had some washouts nearby. So I actually got to meet up with CJ and Denny from Agate Enchantment and Rock Wizardry.
Nice.
And we went and played on the beach and found some really incredible stuff. Of course, there's always editing videos. I was so excited. I found this little agate spiral shell.
I saw that on Oregon Beach and Gravel Bed Reports.
I know. It's got 500 plus, people liking that. That blew up. So yeah, it was a really productive week, and I'll be out on the beach again tomorrow for sure. So videos coming soon on that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Kurt. That was a really sick find that you found. So yeah. But pretty much what I had, I wasn't really planning on doing much this week, and yesterday I decided to, you know what, I haven't been out to Nancy Hanks Gulch in a while. Decided to drive out there and go on a little hike. And when I got there, I wasn't too sure about hiking because it was a lot of snow. And up being on the side of a mountain cliff area, I wasn't really sure how that would go, but ended up being an awesome trip and found a lot of awesome green fluorite and a couple cool pieces of amethyst. So I'll get that video together and hopefully post it in about 2 weeks. So yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Kyle?
Oh man, what art I doing? I got my Maker Challenge thing posted. Yesterday. So for those who are watching, we actually pre-record Thursdays, so for Friday. So yesterday was Wednesday. So I got my Maker's Challenge video posted, and I was really excited for people to be able to see that because that was a lot of work I put into that. And then I'm starting on some other projects too that I was putting off for a while, but now I'm trying to get steam to get them done and out the door. Secret projects.
Well, the gnome that you made was quite impressive.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Incredible. I loved that video. That was so good. Yeah.
Yeah. If I had like recorded everything, it would have been like multiple hours I would have had to sift through, and I just really had to boil it down just to as much as I possibly could, because otherwise you guys all would have been sitting through like 5.5 hours of video footage of what I had, and that just was not acceptable. So I cut out what I could.
Well, it was incredibly what you ended up with was the perfect, like, boiled down, interesting, cliffhanging, like, wonderful video, I thought. Like,
I think it's so far one of my best videos to date. I mean, I don't know if it could have been a lot just because a lot of people were following the Maker's Challenge, but from the moment I posted it to like right now, it's probably the most viewed video that I've had within that time frame.
Nice.
Very cool.
That's really cool.
Got it. Nah, I have to just aim for better each time.
Exactly. There was one thing I was wanting to just mention to Jared real quick. On your Maker Challenge video, it was funny because I was actually making pizza to sit down to watch your video. I
got so many comments from people that they were eating pizza when it went live.
Yeah, I was definitely one of those.
or you're like me. After watching it, I was like, I need some pizza now. Like,
well, okay. So speaking about the Maker's Challenge a little bit now, this is just a thought that I have on this. I think the whole world of like lapidary arts kind of needs a rebranding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody knows about jewelry, making cabochons and all of that. And I think that is really fun. And that's great that people are into that. But I think what you're seeing here in the Maker's Challenge this week really demonstrates just how versatile working with stones can be. Like we have belt buckles and lampshades and pizza and gnomes and rings and play buttons and just all of this stuff that I think, doesn't really ever get brought up or focused on. It's nice to see almost everybody doing something really unique.
It's even actually sparked a few other channels that weren't like in actually like directly with the Maker's Challenge, that were outside that bubble, that said, hey, even though I'm not a part of this, this still inspired me to make something. And there was a channel, I think 404 Findings did a fishing lure out of rock.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually pretty cool. So
yeah,
that was so cool.
Yeah.
I'm making one. Absolutely. I was so inspired by that. And he promised that he was going to let us see what it does when he actually wants to, cast and fish.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Made him promise.
Yeah.
I think that's way more universally appealing, like these types of projects. I mean, I'm not, as somebody that doesn't really wear a lot of jewelry, like I'm not going to be making a lot of jewelry with all my stuff. So
no, I get it. And on top of trying to rebrand things too, is a lot of times when people think of Rockhounds, they probably think of that character from Big Bang Theory, that lopey big guy that's like likes rocks. And it's like, no, like there's a lot more to it than being boring rock or lapidary stuff. It's not just a dusty old shop. It's people that use all this stuff to make art. And they can do almost anything out of rock, and it doesn't have to be like a bland, boring thing. It's actually pretty exciting if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have some other art ideas to do with stone, but I'm not a very good painter, so not painting rocks. I will not paint rocks. I will say that, but I had a couple cool ideas to take like a piece of canvas and maybe was it Norina jasper, and just glue the jasper to the center, but paint around it on that canvas to make it actually match that jasper. And so you have a mixture between like paint and then you have a stone in the center that just blends in.
Yeah, that'd be really awesome.
Hey,
really
Jared, what is the craziest, is the pizza the craziest thing you've made out of the rocks, or is there something that can top the pizza?
Well, as far as difficulty goes, the dice. I made a pair of
Yeah.
dice, and they were flawless cubes. So, measuring those with micrometers, flawless.
Wow.
That
Nice.
was the hardest of all the projects.
Really?
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Just get a 20-sided now. 20-sided dice.
Challenge accepted.
Oh gosh. Start for next year's makers on that.
Well,
right?
what is it? What's a 20-sided dice? It's like a decadihedron. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
That
He's gonna look
sounds
it up.
about right. Like if you're employing Latin, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
What about you, Kurt? What was the craziest thing that you ever made out of a rock?
Oh, geez. I haven't made a whole lot of stuff yet. I just recently got into the lapidary field, but I'd probably say my very first like fluorite pendant that I made, just because I was using sandpaper and or lots of sandpaper. And
glutton for punishment, right?
yeah, and several hours. That was probably my hardest project, but I plan on doing more with that. Like watching the Makers Challenge, it makes me want to get out and make some cool stuff. I don't have the equipment that I need right now, or that I want right now, to make what I want. And I think I've mentioned this before to either Kyle or Jared. I'm not sure who I've mentioned it to, but eventually I like to, like I do custom picture framer. I'd like to take stone and either do like inlays in wood, making custom molding for art or for shadow boxes or whatever, or just actually get nice long slabs and make frames strictly from stone, which would be super cool.
People like that.
So, yeah, it would take a lot of time, a lot of detail, which I love detail. So
If you're looking for a good source for material to make picture frames out of, a place that does countertops, and you can go get their end cuts.
oh, nice.
So
That's a good idea.
It's a
Thank you
great
for that.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Kyle, do you have a craziest thing that you've made out of a rock?
Give me a second to think here.
Gnome.
A gnome.
I mean, are we going for like all time or just like before the gnome? Because I feel like the gnome is probably the most craziest thing that I've done. I mean,
He's looking for inspiration. There.
so before the gnome, I used to drive a big Ford van, and I took a Thunder Egg and I made an emblem.
Oh wow.
And I actually had it glued on to a piece of metal, and it stayed on there up until I think someone actually came up and they just smashed it off the hood of the van and broke it.
Oh, dang.
But other than that, I think the gnome definitely tops it as far as testing my skills and learning something new. That was a very detailed project, and I could have done something super simple and just had everything be flat and call it good, but I just needed to go out of the way and add a little bit more oomph to it. But yeah, I think the gnome is definitely number one as far as like the most craziest, coolest thing I've ever done so far.
It's very good. So everything
Yes.
for you from now on, it's gonna be like before the gnome and after the gnome.
Yeah. Oh, I guess there is.
AG.
I guess there is something else I did make a long time ago, but I don't have it. It was actually a gift from my friend. He grew up in Hawaii, and I don't have it, but you know those masks, the Hawaii masks that have like the little tusks hanging out in the mohawk. I can't think of the proper name for them. But I made one out of saginite for him that his mom had given him when they lived in California for a time. And so it was a rock that he used to have that he got from his mom, and I made a Hawaiian mask out of it, and I gave it to him for I think his birthday or Father's Day or one of the 2 days.
Cool.
And that was probably more of my first carving project. I got a picture somewhere online for it, but aside from the gnome, that was my first carving project. But the gnome, again, top one so far. so far.
It seems like the Maker's Challenge, and thanking Theo Kellison is the way to pronounce his last name. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kellison?
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
That's what I'm
Okay.
going to do.
I don't know, but yeah.
Sorry, Theo.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come and set us straight if it's wrong. But it seemed like every single person who accepted the challenge actually went beyond any of their comfort level from before. And if you think of that kind of like wonderful impetus to try something new, or this motivation with a deadline to finish maybe your best project so far, I think that's such a cool thing. The Masters Challenge was such a great idea, and we've got a couple more left to do all the way through Saturday. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, I think so.
Still more on the docket to watch. It's exciting.
Yeah, I was kind of a day. My day was messed up, and I saw that Michigan Rocks had premiered his, and it said 4 p.m. I'm like, oh, sweet! So at 4 o'clock today, I had just switched on to YouTube because I was gonna be driving, and it was for tomorrow, and I'm like, oh, my clock's messed up. But
at least he didn't miss it. So
right,
yeah, exactly.
It looks good. Based on the thumbnail, it looks good.
Yeah, it looks very detailed and very
Yes.
very clean, and I'm trying my best to make it to all the premieres the best I can. Between being a dad and other stuff going on at home or work, like it can be hard trying to find time to actually sit down and watch and be there in the comment section with everyone else or in the live chat, because it's fun being in the live chat and just chatting with everyone.
Yeah, totally. And I was talking to Theo about if there's going to be more Maker challenges. He was mentioning he mentioned that he would like there to be 2 to 3 a year. So hopefully later in the year, more people will get in on the action and so forth, which will be really awesome.
And I think breaking outside of the YouTube part of things, like because we have the Facebook group, I think having that actually might help with communication and seeing who wants to join. And and it might save him a lot of time too, because I'm sure reaching out to each individual person one by one, that had been a lot of work. And,
Yes.
And so Theo, if you're watching, we're trying to help you, buddy.
The next one will be easier to plan.
Man,
It's very easier.
I'm looking forward to the next one. I want to sign in on that one because everybody had such a good time getting inspired, and I think that, like I said before, having a firm deadline for things really helps some people with their projects. So,
and also talking about the Maker Challenge, I know Kyle got his idea from Jared. I was wondering, Jared, where did you get your idea for making the pizza slice?
So the day that Theo sent everybody a message, which this is months ago, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I immediately had already had the idea, and I had started it that day. So I've been done with my Maker's Challenge for
weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
But no, I just thought it was a cool idea. I have all this very, very colorful rock out here. Know, I mean, we're one of the only places where you can get red marble, and it looks like pepperoni. So there you go.
Definitely does. Yeah, I also really liked how you brought it into the video, where you started with like a phone call asking your wife what you wanted, what y'all wanted for dinner, and kind of brought it in. I was like, where's he going with this? But yeah, it ended up working out really well.
What I lacked in lapidary skills, I make up for in terrible jokes.
If it makes you feel any better, like I was a little slow to him. Like, he's actually taking a phone call during recording. Why do you leave it in there?
Yeah, I was the same way.
That's an awesome segue, actually, Jared. So somebody last week on our thread for the podcast asked, what's your favorite rock joke? And I think it was you.
Oh, I'm the joke?
No. You're the one that asked. See, he's already starting. So I think, yeah. So what's your favorite rock joke? Jared.
Me?
Processing.
Oh, okay.
Processing.
Oh, there's so many. I mean, you can always go with that rocks. It's nice. I like throwing if something's yeah, I don't know. I'm on the spot here trying to tell a joke. You go.
So mine is more scenario based because I am definitely not a one-line stand-up comedian, but my my grandfather, he was like a crunchy dude, and he had a machine shop and a cattle ranch, and he like dealt with no crap. And so oftentimes when there would be a cranky adult around, he would kind of like out the side of his mouth be like, "I'm gonna rock the baby to bed with big rocks." And so that always made me laugh, even when I was just a little kid. And then you'd wonder for a second, like, is he gonna like throw a rock at me? am I the cranky person in the room that he's talking about? So yeah. How about you, Kyle?
That's
or are
awesome.
you ready?
A lot of times.
You want me to go?
Oh yeah, you go ahead and go.
All right. I wasn't sure if you were needing more time. Pretty much mine. I pretty much made up last episode by accident. But what do you call someone that is working with obsidian in the shop and they're just keep taking so long to finish the project?
What's that?
You're slagging on time.
Oh, I was gonna say they're a napper.
You can go with that one too.
You stole it.
I mean, they both work.
Yeah. I honestly didn't realize like it could be a joke until Jared was like, "Is that supposed to be a glass joke?" Oh, it could be.
That's a sharp joke.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyone?
There you go.
Anyone? Oh, I'm here all week.
Where's
the snare drum?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times, I mean, it really depends on the situation. A lot of times I've used, don't take it for granted, or depending on like whatever's going on in the world. Like, I don't watch the news. I don't read the newspaper. Like, I'm pretty content keeping to myself and being kind of, I don't know what's going on. And so when people ask me what's going on, I'm like, I don't know. I literally live under a rock. So there you have it. Yep.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you guys staying up on the latest and greatest rock news?
Ew.
Nope.
Well, there's a new type of basalt.
Really?
Oh.
Yes, yeah. They found a new type of basalt off of the coast of Japan, under the ocean, out in the Pacific.
Interesting.
Nice.
So a new signature. So chemically, it's different than all the other kinds.
Yes,
The deal.
it's
Yeah.
brand new, brand new.
Volcanoes.
And it's very, very, like, the chemistry behind it's very complex. And if it's okay with you guys, there's a great news article on it, and we could maybe put it in the description of this video if people want
we can do that.
check
Yeah,
that out.
definitely.
Yeah.
It's news worth reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anything about basalt is worth reading, people. So.
I like that.
Right.
So with basalt being your favorite mineral, Jared, do you already have some of that on the way to you?
If only I could get my hands on. Wait till you see the photo of it. They have a photo of it taken with a microscope, and it will blow your mind.
Oh, I bet it's sick.
It's impressive. It's very impressive stuff.
Oh, I'll definitely check it out.
You should send them an email. It's like, hey, can I get a slice of that?
I would love a slice of it.
A hand sample or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that'd be another good question for you, Jared, is what is your like knowledge background in rocks? You seem to be pretty familiar with like terminology and like certain backgrounds and everything else. Like, do you have a schooling background in geology and
Nope,
just all self-taught?
No. I spend my mornings reading usually geological papers, academic papers. That's what I do. in my mornings. Drink my coffee, and I've been working my way through some geologist field notebooks from the early 1900s. Those
Nice.
USGS scanned them. So it's very painful for me to read old timey cursive handwriting, but there's all kinds of like little gems of forgotten things in there, and you start to put the picture together.
Those guys could really write back then too, though.
Oh,
they
yeah,
had
totally.
incredible, like it's almost poetry,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I have the handwriting of a drunken toddler.
It's not that
toddlers
bad.
don't drink. Don't drink and write.
I don't know. If you have a baby, when you look at a kid that has like got done like having their dinner, having a bottle of milk, they look like they're drunk, just like, and just they're out.
Yeah.
Well, put a pen in that kid's hand and make him write field notes.
Just gotta figure out if she's right or left-handed first. Go from there.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm a little particular, and I'm fond of basalt, so I usually read up on that and look at that primarily.
Nice.
Anybody else weighing in on a favorite? Yeah.
Like a favorite stone that we have?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess most favorite stone that I have that I found was back in Arizona. We were out camping, and while I went off into the middle of the woods, found a creek bed, and just kind of shifted through the dirt. And I found this piece that was just like glowing in the sunlight. I thought it was gold. My adrenaline shot up like crazy. I mean, it was like the size of a large marble.
Wow.
I got so excited, and I jumped up, ran over to where campsite was, talking to family, and it's like, I found gold. It's over in the river. And I showed it to him, and I think it was more like there was a geologist that was actually camping right next to us, and I showed it to him. He said it was a mixture of pyrite and possibly a little bit of gold in there, and then also some other minerals, but it was called Apache gold. So
Nice.
that's probably like my most favorite find, just because of the adrenaline rush that hit like right when I saw it. And I went back there and looked for hours. That was the only piece there. So it had to have been washed downstream from the Bradshaw Mountains. So yeah.
Always chasing that rush, like forevermore, right?
Yeah, definitely.
For all of us. What about you, Kyle?
All right, we're doing like favorite finds or famous. Oh my gosh, favorite rocks.
Favorite rock. Like Jared loves his basalt. We all know that.
Well,
the videos.
I mean, that's kind of a tricky question because technically obsidian isn't considered a rock.
Oh, or mineraloid.
Obsidian. I mean, fire obsidian, the particular variety of obsidian. I mean, I have favorite rocks, behind me on that shelf. But I mean, over the years, it's changed quite a bit. I used to be rainbow obsidian, and then I discovered fire obsidian. I'm like, rainbow's nothing.
Aw, I still like rainbow.
Rainbow
but I
is-
don't have any fire.
Rainbow's still
Yeah.
very pretty, and I think I posted a picture of a project I did, and it actually has caused a few people to come forward like, hey, can you polish this? I'm like, yeah, sure. And after a while, I'm like, no more. No more customer project for obsidian because it takes so long. And it is a pretty outcome, but the extent of time it takes into each individual piece to get such a high quality polish is just, sometimes it's not worth it's sometimes it's not worth it for my time because of how much it takes and with everything else that's going on in my life. But I think I showed him on a previous video. I have this big crystal I have that my friend had given me that belonged to his mom. So aside from obsidian, that one big crystal I have is probably my most cherished rock I have that I won't ever sell.
Do you have any rocks you won't sell, Jared?
Rocks to sell?
No, rocks you won't sell.
You won't ever get rid of.
I mean,
Nothing.
I don't sell anything. So it's everything I have is keeper. It's all keeper.
Wow. Really? Are you sitting on all of the stuff that you find?
Or I just give it away.
Yeah.
I'll give stuff away. I mean, there's specimens that I keep, like well, I won't it's hard to see this on the webcam here. You know what? I'll put a picture on my Instagram, currently Rockhounding on Instagram. And that is a piece of splattered basalt. I believe I may have located one of the fissure dikes that we have here in like Eastern Washington. And I don't think it's a mapped one. So that's something that I'm trying to confirm if there's a new unmapped lava dike that I found. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So that would have been like from the splatter cone type thing. Yeah. Oh, so man, that's cool.
If you're paying attention to current volcanic activity going around the world, so here in Washington, we had a lot of basaltic floods, which were caused by fissures, which is just cracks opening up in the ground. Long story short, the Yellowstone hotspot was moving under southeast Washington and other stuff and pushing lava up. But
interesting.
Like it's a flood basalt, and they would squirt up, and this piece right here is a splatter, so it splurted out against something. So
that's super cool.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to confirm. I mean, they're not all precisely mapped out. I mean, a lot of them are, but I mean, it's a big area and it's not really a topic anybody cares about. So,
well, are you planning on doing a video on it? Because that sounds like that would be something really interesting to see.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Can't wait. Can't wait to see it.
Some of that lava that came up from Jared's, possibly the very one that he's discovering there, made its way out to Oregon and created the headland that I live on. So there's some stories that are tied together. I mean,
it's amazing to think about a lava flow going hundreds and hundreds of miles.
Yeah. Yeah, it was back before before the Coast Range, it had the flow ability because we didn't have the Coast Range yet. So
yeah, great. I mean, for some of the viewers out there, so most of Eastern Washington, if you look at it, it's just like a big flat brown block of basalt. So we had a long period of time where all this lava was flooding the landscape, and it actually compressed the crust of the earth in some places, like around the Tri-Cities here in Washington State. It's, I think, 2.8 miles thick of basalt.
Wow.
So
that's
a lot of brown, boring rock.
No,
it's not that boring.
Say that.
No, I have a very impressive collection of some of the most interesting basalts around. So it can be really
awesome.
cool.
It is.
Nice.
And of course, there's a bunch of stuff underneath it too.
Yes.
Like at some point, we would love to get to.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you make it to the next Maker's Challenge, you should make some salt and pepper shakers out of basalt. So you can have basalt and pepper.
Oh no! Yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
I'm gonna write that down.
And he got us joking.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So, what do you think your favorite tool in the shop is, Jared?
Probably my big slab saw. I have a 14-inch slab saw that's fully tore apart right now. I'm doing a whole entire rebuild on it, but that is amazing to have a decent sized saw.
So how big of a rock, for those out there listening and watching, how big of a rock can you take down with a 14-inch slab saw?
Like 6 inches.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Nice.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Everybody's sizing up their big fine, like
What about that one?
Can you do that?
And I wish I had a larger saw. I wish I had a much larger saw, but I do have
we all.
yeah. I do have a very, very good rock club in the area. They have a 24-inch saw, so I can always bring things there and cut away.
You know, that was a great video too.
Yeah.
That
Thank
was, yeah,
Mm.
I loved that. In fact, I really wanted to, like, that would be a reason to move into that direction. Like, we don't have any clubs like that, you know, here. So I was like, oh, well, Washington sounds good. 24-inch slabs.
I do plan on doing some more content like that. You know, I have some stuff I'm trying to work out with some people that own mining operations and all kinds of things going on.
Sounds exciting. Very.
Yeah, no, I watched that video. I'm like, man, I want to be there, and I want to check out all their equipment and kind of see how they have things set up, and like that's a huge workspace, and that is a lot of equipment.
It's a warehouse.
And I'm like, and part of me is like, you know, do they like own the building and like own all the equipment? Like that's, I mean,
the club owns all of the equipment.
because that is just a super neat setup. I mean, I wish we had something that big here, because I don't know of anywhere that, I think Salem has a rock club that has equipment and stuff, but I haven't been there, and I really expect it to be as big as the one that you showed, because that's just awesome.
Yeah, I think they have 11 saws and 8 or 9 cab machines. They have seven faceting machines that you can use.
That's crazy.
Microscopes, a whole area to do wire wrapping. There's a meeting area. I mean, it's just on and on. One of the things that didn't really make it into that video that I think is probably the unsung hero of the Spokane Rock Roller shop, and that would be their very own forklift.
I kind of figured they would have had to have one, just looking at how high everything was and everything being on pallets.
Just having their own forklift, like that's got to be so great for a shop.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the question. Yeah, what tool don't you have that you need?
A microscope. The microscope.
Oh,
I want a
nice.
microscope.
That microscope they had was super cool. Like,
Yes.
I'd be very interested in seeing like how it works, like while you're looking through the microscope itself and seeing the minerals and checking for fractures and just seeing everything in that close would be amazing.
Yeah, that's the next thing that I would spend money on for myself.
You'll get there.
Cool.
Oh yeah, totally.
What about you, Kyle? What's your next big fun tool?
Well, so like my favorite tool for the shop is probably my Genie. That's probably the machine that I use the most out of most of them. And right now I was gonna get rid of it after I got some new wheels, and I moved all the new wheels to the blue machine. But I realized I could still utilize the old wheels for more fine-tuned projects that won't necessarily mar up the edges, because new wheels, they're not gonna be very good for a long time until they wear down. But as far as the tool that I want to get, I don't know. Oh, no, I know what I want to get. I'd like to have fossil preparation hand tools and a compressor to be able to do that. That's the next skill that I would like to learn how to actually do, is fossil preparation.
Yes,
I agree.
Okay, Kurt, what about you?
My favorite tool in the shop would probably be a high-tech diamond 8-inch flat lap. That's a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun just polishing rocks and making cool things out of the rocks.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I
was going to ask you, how do you like that so far?
It's a lot of fun. It's I just got a 80 grit disc, so I've just being able to see the difference between 80 grit and 180 is a huge difference.
Yes.
It would take me like an hour to grind down an agate with 180. It takes me like 10 minutes with the 80 grit, and
your
saves
fingers.
time. Yes.
Watch your fingers.
Yes, I've gotten my fingers a couple times, and it scares the heck out of me. And especially the only time I get my fingers now is whenever the very few times the dopping stick fails and my rock goes flying, and I try and catch it while that's spinning. That's the only time that I'll get myself.
Let it go. Yeah.
I do have a confession to make. I've never used Doppling Wax before. Ever.
Well, it's very nice to have for a flat.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, making the bottoms, if you've got a small stone, obviously, if you're flattening out that bottom, your fingers are going to take a beating. That's just the deal. But then, yeah, it's stopping all the way. Although you can use, of course, like the super glue thing. Like a lot of people go that route. So.
That's what I've used in the past is super glue. And just make sure it doesn't get fully cured, because once it's fully cured, then it gets a little bit harder to get off the stone.
Acetone.
Yeah, I need to buy some acetone now.
Yep. Yeah, it's effortless. Obviously you can't use that when you're doing intarsia. So, you have to, or doublets, like if you work with opal, you can't, use the acetone with anything that's going to take your project apart. But acetone will take it right off. And then, of course, the freezer for if you're dopping your stuff with the wax. So,
what about you? What's the next tool for your shop? For
you guys all said them, and I need all of them.
Go with the forklift.
Yeah. I'll go for door number 4, the forklift, please. Yeah, I actually, I need a new trim saw, like my left hand, that's probably top of the workload list. But and my favorite is probably my flat lap. I mean, I'm on that thing all of the time. Love the high tech diamond flat lap. And the thing that is in my little, the sugar plum fairy dreams is a faceter. I really, really want a faceter. I'm into the sunstones and that sort of thing. So I'm into getting into the gemmy part. But what Kyle said about getting like a pneumatic hammer, I was watching Ma'am Lambo's most recent, the Masters Challenge on the crab. And that doesn't that make you want to do that, guys?
Yeah.
It's very cool.
It's an art, and it takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of patience to be able to do something like that. And I mean, it takes a lot of patience for faceting too. I have a friend in Ohio that does faceting, but I would love to be able to get crab concretions and prep them, because that's just cool. I mean,
yeah, totally.
You're uncovering something that's been hidden for how many millions of years.
Yeah,
and having on a shelf and be like, I did that. Of course, I can't do that because I don't have the kind of tools. But it is cool to be able to watch all the videos that he does on fossil preparations, not just for crabs but other fossils that he's done too. And when he did the confirmation for the challenge, he's pulling up all these drawers. I'm like, man, he's got to have a lot of crabs in those drawers.
He's got crabs in his drawers.
The best kind, though.
Oh, sorry. I had to make up for the grandpa joke. So having what is it, an air scribe or a pneumatic hammer? I mean, there's a couple different things that you use for that.
I think it depends on the fossil preparation. I know some of the fish fossils, I think sometimes they'll use like a special type of air scribe because it's so fragile, whereas I think the crab concretions are a little bit more, they can handle more of the mini jackhammers. And
yeah, that kind of seems like the most fun. I want a mini jackhammer. That go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think you should go ahead, Kyle.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
I was actually going to ask you a question. So you were talking about Warburton's, right? The fossil in Wyoming.
Oh yeah, the Warfields.
Warfield, rather, yes. And so, bucket list, is that your bucket list place to go, like
Yeah.
the place that you'd like to go most. And of course you'd want your air scribe, I think, for that material. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy with like getting material and bringing it back and just like storing it until I can get the proper material, proper equipment. Because I'm pretty patient. I mean, I had opals at one point, and I literally put them in a damp towel and put them in a closet for like a year for them to actually dry out properly. And so I have all the time in the world. I can get like a box full of stuff to prep and just let it sit until I actually have the proper tools I need to start practicing and start working on that kind of stuff. I'm still young.
That's awesome. What about you, Jared? Where's the bucket list rock hounding destination?
Man. I have some places that I'm going to be going back to this summer. There's a place just outside of Jackpot, Nevada, where you can get fluorescent thunder eggs. So I'm going to be going there for that. There's just outside of the Alvord Desert in Oregon. I don't know if you guys have been to the Alvord, but yeah, there is one of the few places where you can get turkey track basalt. So I don't know if you have any idea what that is.
Yeah, I've seen it in my book, and I haven't yet had a chance to go there. So
yeah, it's quite the adventure getting out to it. So I'm looking forward to going and getting some of that, just the rarity of it.
Yeah. Well, if you're into fossil hunting, have you done much fossil hunting, Jared?
I haven't. I mean, we have some leaf fossils here. Like this area was very like wet during the Eocene, so we have like that silt lake bed material that you can go and find leaf fossils in, and we have some metasequoia twigs and stuff, but that's about it.
Gotcha.
There was also that one video that you made a while back. I can't remember what the name of the fossil was, but it's like really small fossils that you were pulling out of a road cut, I think.
Yeah. There's the small town of Addy, Washington, and outside of it, you can get paleo sponges.
Yes, that's what it's
in
called.
like a pre-Cambrian quartzite. So really old stuff, like 540 million years old. But you really have to be using your imagination when you're looking at it to try to figure out what the heck this stuff is. I mean, a bunch of dead paleo sponges sitting on the ocean floor that's been uplifted and eroded and blasted out of a road cut. It's like, sure, why not? Why can't it be that?
That's great.
Yeah.
What about you, Kurt? Where's your dream destination?
I don't know the exact name for it, but it's over it's like southeast of the United Kingdom. I think it's the nickname for it. It's called the Jurassic Shoreline.
Oh, but, yeah, good pick.
Yeah, that place. I'd love to go there and find fossils off that shoreline, all different sizes, and I don't know the proper names for the fossils, so I'm not even gonna try because. That would be a dream come true to go over there and find some fossils. But I wouldn't be able to find very many because you have to ship them back, and so I don't know. I'll probably find as many little ones as I could to fill a large shipping box to bring it back. I don't know.
I do want to give a quick shout out to a channel I recently subscribed to. It's called Amberscape. And I always talk to the gentleman that has that channel, and they don't have really any rocks in their area to really rock hound. Mm-hmm. But in the area, after a storm, they literally go out to the beach and they use fishing nets to get amber out of the ocean.
Wow.
And I happened upon it after watching one of Mam Lambo's videos. And I'm like, oh, because he was sent a box of amber, and so from there I went to this gentleman's channel, and I'm like, that's actually pretty cool. He's actually even used a black light to actually help find the floating amber because the water is pretty dark. But I
That'd
think
be
that'd
fun.
actually be a pretty cool place to go check out too. Is to be able to go fish for amber,
Mm-hmm.
a fishing net. But it looked like there's actually a lot of competition out there, so you try to be respectful of people's space and not step
Yeah.
on toes. But it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Do you want a rebate on an exotic location now, Jared? Like now that you know you could go anywhere in the world.
I think we should have like
I'm
one.
I'm gonna just pick a geological site, Giant's Causeway. I would like to go see those basalt columns there. But I mean, as far as rockhounding goes, I like the stuff that we have here. I think I'm a fan of thunder eggs. So hey, it's hard to beat Washington and Oregon for thunder eggs.
Yeah, I have a couple Australian thunder eggs I bought from a show, and I haven't cut them open yet, but I want to. And I kind of wish that Richardson's. It sucks that they shut down the digging, and I really hope that someday they bring it back, or they bring back like limited digging times where like we have, if they're open for like 1 week out of the year or 2 weeks out of the year, then that's it. Like that would be cool. But I was planning to go during, I forgot what year they shut down, but I was hoping to go during my birthday, and then found out they shut down like a few weeks prior. I'm like, I think we made up for that by going to the Rice Museum. And that was my first time ever being there, and that was really cool. And for those listening, the Rice Museum here in Oregon, it's just a little rock museum, and it doesn't look like much on the outside until you go inside. And the basement is, you wouldn't know that it's there. You go down the stairs and you just see it's an empty room just full of shelves of beautiful petrified wood specimens, and it's awesome. So for anyone that comes to Oregon, look it up and go there. It's worth it.
Don't they have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, they do. I can also put their link down there.
I remember when Jared was recommending your channel, and I think it was also the Rice Museum channel. I went and subscribed, and it seemed like they had some really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's being ran by Garrett Roman, who does a number. He's written a number of books like Chemtrails of Washington, Chemtrails of Oregon, stuff
cool.
like that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Kyle, before I forget, send me a message later on about Richardson's Ranch. I got something to tell you.
Okay, will do. Don't let me forget.
Well, and that being said, there's Lucky Strike that has decided to reopen. They were going to close forever, and Lucky Strike is going to do it again this season. And then there's the Pride Day Polka Dot folks that are going to be open for the rock or the thunder eggs as well. And so we're not missing out completely. And where's good in up in Washington?
The Little Natchez, Quartz Creek. You can get very like soft blue to gray thunder eggs. There's also a spot right nearby where you can get, it's like it's lily pad thunder eggs, so it's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of little mini tiny thunder eggs that are encapsulated in rhyolite. So when you cut it, it gets this like lily pad effect.
Oh wow, kind of like bird's eye, like the bird's eye rhyolite. Yeah, very cool. Nice.
But I think the Lucky Strike eggs are my favorite though. I've been cutting some incredible Lucky Strike eggs. Yeah,
that is really, really cool terrain all through there. Did you get a chance to dig right adjacent to that in some of the public?
I didn't, not on that trip, but I do plan on going down to White Fur at some point. I'd like to get some of those with it's a jasper core, right?
There's jasper, and then and they're all sort of really close to each other, and so there's they don't know where they're supposed to stop. Obviously, they don't know our rules, and so you get some of this material over here at this site. And I found some of the most amazing green common opal coming out of some of that material too. And so I don't know if the common opal turns you on, but like it's the ocean. It's that color of the backlit wave, that seafoam green. Oh man, it's just to die for. So that's a place to go back to for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, where we at? Where we at on the?
There was two questions that I saw, or three, I think. Two. There's three. We already answered Jared, which was the joke. One was from Theo Killison about what. Wait, hold on. I think we already did that one too, right?
I'll be back. Hang on one second.
No. Okay. But pretty much Theo's question was what experiences and events led you to becoming a rock hound. So would one of you two want to start, and then we'll go with me and then Kyle?
I'll start. So I mean, I think what got it going for us was our first trip out to the Oregon coast. We were, I can't even remember the beach. It was like south of Seaside or something like that, and finding like little tiny agates. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it was probably, well, not that special, but it got me turned on to the whole like treasure hunting thing. So that was kind of the start of it, the beach agates.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think what's so neat about the beach is that you seriously can find anything, like it's such a myriad of different kinds of rocks and minerals that, it's kind of like the rivers too, it's just like any pick. Yeah. That's awesome. Hey, what about you, Kurt?
So I guess pretty much both sides of my family, on my mom and my father's side, were into hunting artifacts in Central Texas. So I spent a lot of my time growing up with my Uncle Brian taking me out camping and looking for cool rocks and artifacts and so forth. And same thing, my grandparents lived on Lake Travis, which is also the Colorado River. So I've been hunting the Colorado River for my entire life, for mainly quartz artifacts, and I think and I just realized that like probably some of those rocks I was finding were probably agates, but I was probably thought they're more like flint, because out in that area you can find a lot of nodules, and I'm pretty sure quite a few of them were agates now that I think about it. And I just threw them back because they were just like a very basic stone that you find all the time wherever you look. So I'd actually like to go back out there to those areas and hunt. But growing up around my family, take me camping, keeping me in nature and stuff, just kind of pushed me to be a rock hound. And I didn't realize it until like a few years ago that's what the subject, I guess, is called, is rock hounding, when I just called it a rock collector. So yeah. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think it was either last or the episode before that week's, I answered why I got into rock hounding, because we were left to our own devices on the ranch, and we'd go find the rock piles and crack them and see what was in there. But my family also was totally into hiking and getting out and seeing what you could find on the trails. And they were also the type of family that would like take the littles when we were very young and put down like the chocolate covered raisins on a rock, and like next to bunny poo or deer poo. So we were always looking for things, on the ground or at our level, and adults would come, oh, dude, just eat this, So that was the family that I grew up in. So either we're finding rocks or eating poo or something off of a rock. What about you, Kyle?
What was the question? Sorry, I had to step away to grab the little one.
Oh, River is such an adorable baby too.
Oh yes.
Gosh.
I heard her crying a little bit. I'm like, oh, I should go grab her really quick when Mama's taking care of something. So
nice.
So,
It was the Theo had asked the question about how we got into rock hounding, and actually his whole little, like, he had a whole paragraph of the question, and it built up to like literally, I think it was, "Are you addicted?" Wait, at what point did it snowball into an addiction? Was his very pointed question.
Well, I can't remember when I got into rock hounding because I've been picking up rocks since before I could even remember. But I've been doing both rock hounding and selling rocks since a very long time. I got in trouble in 3rd grade for selling rocks to other kids, and I had like polished stones and agates in a little
That's
in
awesome.
a little like fishing case. Open it up, had the little stacks, selling rocks to kids for like 10 cents, quarter, nickel, whatever it was. And the teachers eventually came by like, yeah, you can't do that. So I just never grew out of it. So, here I am, 33 years old, and I'm still picking up rocks. I wouldn't necessarily call it an addiction, but I am always looking at the ground, especially if there's rocks involved. I mean, I found things other than rocks. I found money, and I'm always finding money.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I always just stared at the ground and just never grew out of it. But yeah, I wouldn't call it an addiction. Maybe a controlled
hobby.
Oh, yeah, controlled hobby. Let's go with that one.
Well, I think one of the other questions also was, what other hobbies do you have? Like, does anybody do anything else, or are we pretty just into the rock thing only?
Ooh.
I've kind of dialed back my other hobbies.
Yeah.
So, but welding, metalwork, stuff like that.
Nice.
Have you done work that amalgamates your rock and welding art together ever?
Not yet.
Yes?
Not yet. But
Ooh.
maybe in the future. I'll be
Cool.
putting those two together somehow. But it is a very handy hobby and skill to have. So
It's always
Definitely.
good. It's always going to have be like a Swiss Army person of different tools and different knowledges.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing Edward Scissorhands, Swiss Army person.
Perfect.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Gentlemen?
Well, I guess other hobbies for me, I've always been into, besides rock hounding, is landscape and wildlife photography, which kind of helps me when I'm out at spots. I'll look for a good scene to capture for my thumbnail, so that way it kind of helps shows what you're clicking on to watch the videos. And then also the whole art scene with picture framing and so forth. Building each frame for the art to help it contrast and become its own unique piece, but also like painting, drawing, and that whole field as well. Probably my other hobbies. But what about you, Karen?
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm an artist too. And so in addition to doing the rock hounding, which I typically funnel into some kind of art project, mine is mostly jewelry fabrication. So I like setting metal on fire as well, Jared, but mine is small format. But I love it. Like I was just talking on the beach with another person today, it's not that I huff the smell of burning metal, but that smells so good. I don't know. So talk about addictions. And we have a lot of sports that we like to take along with us when we go rock hounding, if we're in between hounds or if we're in a place that affords it. Like the Alvord Desert is very windy, and so we can take kites or our wings and we can go out there and land board, and we like to land board on the beach. And of course there's paddle boarding and surfing and mountain biking. We got the fat tire bikes so that we could go anywhere. And so that actually really helps with the rock hounding as well. We were talking about kayaking and paddleboarding to get to the places where folks won't go, the islands and stuff. And a lot of times the mountain biking is the same way, that maybe the range for a person on foot with a heavy bucket, which is a pet peeve of Jared's. Don't carry a bucket.
No 5-gallon buckets.
No 5-gallon buckets. But if you can get outside that radius, all of a sudden, bam, you're into some stuff. And so we usually like to backcountry one way or another. That's so I hate to say it, but the hobbies are attached. So that's probably doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Kyle?
Oh, it's kind of a tough one to answer because I do have I think 3 metal detectors, 2 of which were used to belong to my late great grandmother. They're very old whites metal detectors, and so I've always wanted to try my hand at coin shooting and look for old coins. Just a lot of it has to boil down to time, like trying to find the proper time to delve into different hobbies. Like metal detecting is actually pretty cool because you get to look for treasures that are hidden that no one else even knows is there. You might find $1 million coin or a several $1,000 ring just laying there or buried there. And I did try it in our backyard, and I found a couple really old coins, and I did find an old toy car made of metal. But there's the same thing with metal detecting as with rock hounding. There's a lot of rules involved. You can only go to certain places with permission, and then as far as like selling coins, there's for old coins there's a lot of rules involved for selling old coins, and it's just like it's a hobby that I would like to get into, but I spend most of my time with the rock stuff. I am also want to delve into candle making. Jack of all trades. So at some point I am going to try that. And I thought about making like a little skit as far as like talking about, niches on YouTube. And, if you make content for YouTube, try to stay within a niche that's in relative of your name. And I was going to have a little skit of like me, talk about that, and pans over to me like holding a bunch of candle stuff and just be like, no, it's not your time yet. Make your own channel.
Well, you could for like maybe a future maker's challenge, you could take some of your rocks and create a candle like jar or something, and then fill in the wax and so forth. That'd be really sick, because like if you were to use like a translucent wax when the candle's lit, it would help I guess fluorescent the stones.
Yeah.
And they actually be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, I thought about making even a wax warmer, but I think you gotta be very careful about what stones you use with heat, so they don't,
Yeah.
would not be a good day for anybody.
Yeah.
But I think other than that, I don't really have that many hobbies. I mean, a lot of my time is really put into rock stuff or sometimes jewelry. Haven't really made too many things out of that yet. And whatever free time I have other than that and family time, I'll play like Minecraft or something just to pass the time. If I'm too tired to do anything, I'm pretty vanilla. So.
What about the podcast?
Oh, I mean, I didn't really consider that. No, that was really a hobby subject. So
YouTube, podcasting, those are hobbies.
Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you, Jared. YouTube and podcasting.
That's great.
But no, using this kind of platform as far as making videos for YouTube. I mean, that it also goes beyond hobby. It goes into self. I can't think of the right word, but improving myself and getting better with speech and and talking in front of people and stuff like that. Sorry, my cat is being ridiculous. But so I'm trying to use like the platform and the podcast to really make things easier for me, and plus with COVID and everything, a lot of people are stuck indoors and don't have the same kind of interaction as in person. So got to figure out a way to kind of improve communication skills. So.
Well, and it feels like a creative outlet, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, like it's definitely a way of expressing oneself. And I liked your video, Jared, that talked about how many different ways people have, like the different styles of making videos with music,
Mhm.
without, narrated or live uh on camera speaking. And that was like really a wonderful observation. And that it turns it into kind of an art form,
Yeah, I mean, you can do educational videos. So, I mean, it can be very artistic, lots of music, and try to just tell a story visually, or verbally, whatever suits your needs. I mean, I think at this point in the niche of rock hounding, we pretty much have somebody that kind of does everything, right? Like, I mean, like it's there for you, from the viewer's perspective.
Yeah, there's a veritable cornucopia of choices. If you want to get your rocks on, you can find a way that's going to suit you.
Absolutely.
But no, adding that, that's actually really good that we have like different film styles. That, everyone has their own preferences, and it's good to have that kind of variety out there. And I think I was talking to Andrew a little bit about this. He can have the same name as 5 other people, but if they're all making different content, it won't really matter too much, because everyone has their own different film style. Not everyone's the same. It's like if I were to make the same project as a few other people, not all the projects are the same. Every project's different, so you can have 2 different people make cabs, and one person makes it different than the other. Yep. And Karen, you actually showed that when you worked at the Obsidian pendant. You did it all by hand. Well, you did most of it by hand without the use of power equipment.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah, I saw you bring out that saw. I'm like, oh man.
I think that one of the reaches that is for me important is making sure that it's for everybody, and so if you don't have the tools, you can do it anyway. Really, there is a way. And that was kind of my mom's message to me, because I might snivel like, I don't have and she would, that's exactly what she would do. She'd hand me a hand saw. Well, here, like, why don't you start? And so as far as folks getting into it, I love the idea of hey, no, it's welcoming, it's infectious, it's not exclusive. Get into it,
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Well, and I like that you actually showed that you can do stuff without equipment, because a lot of times like you said, people will be like, oh, I don't have this and this and this. Like, there's a way. If you make a way, it doesn't. You don't have to spend a bunch of money. I mean, I'm not really one to talk because of all the equipment that I have. But if I didn't have that equipment, I would find a way to make sure that I can do something. And if anything, if someone starts without equipment and they do everything by hand, they're getting more in depth and more personal with that piece of work, because the amount of time that's going to take to actually polish that rock by hand.
Well, Kyle, how long did it take you to acquire all of your tools?
A long time, very long time.
I mean, 5 years, 10 years. How long have you been building that shop out?
So we lived here for about 2 years, and before we lived here, we had a very small. I would almost call it a 1.5 bedroom, because the second bedroom was just a small office. I mean, probably about half the size of this. And so, if you guys remember the lapidary cart that I used to have, that thing's like 6 feet long, and I had that in that small room. My genie, the blue cab machine, and I was running out of space really quickly. And I mean, before that, it took me several years to even get all the equipment. I spent several months putting that cart together, slowly getting the equipment to put on there. Went to bought a couple of estate sales that had the equipment in there, and I sold the equipment that I didn't want to pay for equipment that I did want. And the Genie, I think I paid $500 for that. And for anyone that knows, the cost of used Genies,
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing deal.
that was an awesome deal. And the wheels were still pretty good. I mean, having just replaced the several wheels on it this year after having it for several years, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I mean it's a slow grind of acquiring stuff.
Yeah, because I started like several years ago, it's like slowly picking up stuff, and it just takes a super long time. I mean, if I kept every single piece of equipment that I bought through different estate sales or bought on Craigslist or wherever, I would have had a lot more. But realizing that it's not good to keep stuff that I'm not really going to use. Just clean it up, get out the door, and use that money to be reinvested into either more equipment or more material to work. And a lot of it, a lot of stuff in lapidary it's investment and reinvestment. And I wish I could tell people I didn't get all this stuff overnight. This took a long time, a lot of different trades and sales to be able to build up to this. And I can only hope that I can buy even better saws down the road, more clean, brand new saws. Because like you, Jared, I want a bigger saw.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to get a 24 if I can, and put it somewhere in the backyard.
If you want real life friends, just get a big lapidary saw.
Yeah. But the other thing is too, I have long term ideas for building what I am building out of my garage here. At some point, I want to be able to get back into teaching classes, and do it the proper way, and have forums for people fill out that pretty much say, hey, if you break it, you buy it. I mean, I'm not gonna pay that for out of the pocket. But no, I like people to get back into teaching people, because it is great to put free content on YouTube, because there are a lot of people out there that can learn by watching. But there are also a lot of people that learn also better by doing. And so I miss being able to actually, that portion of teaching classes is that one-on-one, like showing people how to actually work with rock and see where they go from there. Because some people pick up like that. Some people have a little bit longer learning curve, but it's fun to be able to be there from start to finish. And so once COVID lifts, I'll probably be looking into that.
And once you start that, I'm going to come down and do a tour of your shop, right?
Oh, you're more welcome to come down whenever. Just give me a heads up so I can make sure everything's clean and presentable.
You gotta see the shop in its natural state. I'll just be surprising you.
It's clean.
It'll be a gotcha moment.
For the most part, it's clean right now. I have some stuff in there that I got to get rid of, and you'll see that if you look at the Maker's Challenge video from when I started at the very beginning. You'll see some stuff in the background towards at the end. But yeah, it's some things I needed to actually get out of there, and I actually discovered a leak from one of my saws the other day, because I have a trim saw. So if you look at my saw station, I have my small trim saw or smaller saws underneath. Well, one sticks out just enough, and it's underneath the blue saw. And I've been noticing there's some oil in the tray. And usually when I get done with the saw, I scrape all the oil back into the reservoir. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Well, where's this coming from? Felt underneath the saw that's overhanging, and somehow it's leaking oil. And I don't know where it's coming from. And it's going to drive me up the wall.
You just got to get used to having an oil slick in your shop.
Luckily, I mean, I bought a mop, so I just need to get some Dawn dish soap and a bucket and start scrubbing the floors.
My oil saw definitely leaks. It's very old, and whatever. I just deal with it. My shop is a shipping container, so I have a wood floor, and it just absorbs in.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good use. Sorry, 1 second.
I was gonna say, now I know what you're inside when we see the videos. I tried to imagine what your space is, and we see the work table, and we see you, but whatever is behind you, and you're in a shipping container.
Yeah, it's
that's cool.
it's a 20-foot shipping container sitting in my backyard.
Awesome.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
it's actually a pretty good shop. I mean, it's very secure. It's like you're working in a vault. So, but yeah, I mean, it's good to run power into it. It's on insulated. That's a downside. People,
That's evident when we can see your breath, like I was talking about before.
it gets cold here. Okay.
Do you have AC for that in the summertime?
Nope.
Oh.
No. Maybe someday.
Get one of those portable AC units. Yeah. Now you can just move it out there when you're working and then move it back inside when you're done.
I mean, it doesn't get that hot that long here for the most part. I mean,
Sorry about that. My camera went down for a second. I'm not sure what y'all could see, but I had to get the charger. So.
Oh, we didn't see anything. It's okay.
Okay. Awesome. But I have another question. What is your funniest rock story?
Man, I guess I don't really have a funny rock story. I'm sorry. I don't have anything any truly funny rock stories. At least not that I can think of off the top of my head right now. What about you?
There's one that's I think is pretty funny. Me and some family went out to this one area where we used to go out and check out the Texas bluebonnets, and we got there too early, so there wasn't any bluebonnets, but we hiked back up around the lake and into the wood area, and one of my family members was like, "Kurt, look at these beautiful pink crystals," and I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" They're like, "There's just all over the place," and like they pointed to them, and I'm like, "Those are white." They're like, "No, they're pink." I'm like, "Okay, so do you want them?" So we picked them up, put them in a bottle. Later that night, when the sunglasses were off, they were white. She was like, "What happened to all those pink rocks?"
Put your glasses back on.
Yeah.
Your rose tinted glasses, those ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Wow.
funny.
Do you have a funny? Well, Kyle has a funny one. Do you have another funny one?
I mean, aside from my glass butte,
Oh yeah.
you know, I don't think the world's ready for the whole story in its entirety just yet. I don't think
That's
I'm
gonna
ready
be
for
your
it.
1,000 subscriber special.
There you go.
I should make that my 5,000 subscriber special because it you'll get to learn something about me real quick. Things I did not know how to do. 101.
Wow. Ooh, that's intriguing. Wow.
Pooping in the woods.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I have a question for the three of you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So real quick, if you had to give one piece of rock hounding advice to somebody, what would it be? Like, what's your 1 minute advice to someone? You know, that could be for like somebody kind of new. Maybe they've done it a little bit. Like, you know, what's your word of wisdom?
Well, mine is every rock is special. There's not a particular color, shape, or anything of the sort. Every rock that you pick up that you're drawn to is special. So as long as you like it, you're a good rock hound.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle, do you have one?
I mean, I was going to go with something similar to what Kurt said. You know, if you think it's cool, pick it up. I mean, you never know what you're going to find out there. Don't rub your head on the microphone. I'm sorry. I'm going to put you down here now. But yeah, you know, if you think something's cool, pick it up. You know, it might be, you know, everyone has their own perspectives on what they think is cool, what they think is pretty. You know, don't let anyone discourage you of, you know, what you pick up. You know, you do you, and they'll do themselves. Pick it up if you think it's cool. That's really all I got.
Okay.
I think there's a nickname that I earned when I was in high school, and it was like caranoid or paranoia. And so mine is be careful, like check your six, know your surroundings, remember where you were, where you're going, tell somebody where you're going, all that kind of stuff. We covered that in one of the episodes. But I think we've probably all been out there and lost track of time, or, just been down in like super good material for long enough that you're sunstroking. It's like, so that would be mine. Yeah.
I guess I should probably retract mine then. Safety first.
What about you, Jared?
My advice is do not use Google Maps anymore. Google Maps for backcountry navigation. Horrible. It's like you've like the Model T of apps. Okay. Like it breaks down. I get like an email at least once or twice a week of somebody being like, I tried to go to this spot and I couldn't find it. And it's because they're using Google Maps. Don't use it.
That's horrible. It's like you're trying to go to a place over here. Google Maps tells you to go over here.
Yeah. Things like Gaia GPS, Onyx, awesome. Things that are designed for going into the backcountry. That's what you want to use,
I invite you up here once. Once.
Awesome. Not the Rockhound, but the Rock Kitty. Yeah. So did we get through most of the questions that we had? Yeah. Is that that's pretty?
There is one other question. It kind of goes with what Jared asked about. I guess one of the never mind. I was gonna say Jared's question about the tips, and then how I was saying about every rock is special. What color are you most drawn to whenever you're out rockhounding?
Sparkle.
I mean, I think anything that's kind of unnatural, bright yellows, blues, anything that will reflect. Of course, if you're using a UV light, anything that will phosphoresce will catch the eye.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for me, I think I'm more drawn to like blues and greens over any other color, but anything that the sun shines on that reflects and glows, I'll pick up, but it's mainly greens and blues. Mm-hmm. What about you, Karen?
Sparkles.
Not expert.
Oh, right. So it's funny, and Jared kind of nailed it, like the non sequitur. You have your eyes tuned and you're looking for what doesn't belong, I guess, with the regular earthy colors. And then I think it's also a strange phenomenon that if you don't have it, that's what you're looking for. So Oregon is light on purple. We don't have a whole lot of purple material out here. And maybe second to that would be blue. And so I'm always like, that is really what's going to jump out at me. It's the same as like, all the hummingbirds that there are of all these different amazing colors, and the brown copper ones are the most, rare to see. And you're like, there's lots of brown birds out there. Are you serious? That's the one to see. But like, so if I probably lived in, a state that had a bunch of purple material, then I'd probably be looking for the yellow, but like for here, blues and purples are the big score. Yeah. Nice. So how about you, Kyle?
So that's a little bit hard for me to say because I went rockhounding with my friend on the Willamette, and it seems that I would say I'm not colorblind by any means, but I have a harder time seeing certain colors underwater. I can see clear agates just fine. I can see textured petrified wood just fine, but agates for carnelians, for whatever reason, I have a hard time spotting them really quick. So I guess as far as colors go, it depends on where I'm at. But for the most part, I look for textures, different textures that stand out from from anything else that might be in the area. For example, there's a spot out near Brownsville where I took my friend out and we were kind of scoping out for some saginite, and we didn't find any, but we were going down this hillside, and there's a lot of, I'm pretty sure it was basalt. And then I found a chunk of sea maggot. And again, it has to do with texture. It wasn't so much color. It's like, oh, that looks different from everything else. And found it, picked it up. I'm like, oh, this is actually really cool. I haven't found this out here before. And I just gave it to my friend, like, hey, you can have it. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, you can have it. I got plenty of rocks. Not a big deal. But same thing with I've looked for rocks in Thomas Creek there in Scio. My family has property out there, and again, carnelian, hard to spot, but the clear agates, easy. Looking down the water, textured like the petrified wood, texture is going to be different from everything else that's in the creek, and it's super easy to spot. So it depends on where I'm at.
Yeah, totally. Have y'all ever gone out like night hunting? And like any cool tips for people that go out at night?
That UV light.
UV light's pretty cool.
UV light. Yeah. Headlight, UV light.
I wanna buy that black light and go out at night too, because petrified wood fluoresces.
Mm-hmm.
Or it can fluoresce. It doesn't mean it always will, but it can. Yeah. And I want to try it out and see if we can find anything good.
Yeah, there's I tried doing a video back in early January of night hunting some pseudomorph barite crystals, but the location that I was planning on going, my source told me there was no snow, and it was the opposite. There was so much snow, and I wasn't able to do it. But a good tip that I used to do back in Texas when I would go out at night and hunt crystals or topaz or agates or arrowheads is whenever, if you're hunting in a public area where you're not trespassing, in a lake or shoreline, whenever it is very calm and there's no waves, if you go and scan the shoreline underwater with a flashlight, it'll reflect those translucent stones more than any other stone. So when you're hunting in the daytime, you're seeing everything as it is because the sunlight's so bright. But at night, everything else is black. So whenever you hit one of those good rocks with the flashlight, it fluoresces, and it's super easy to find stuff like that at nighttime on a calm lake. So that was the only other question I wanted to ask.
That sounds good. Like we're all going to be hitting the night now. Oh no, like 24/7 rock hunting.
I had a cup of coffee, so I'm still like.
You're going night rock hounding tonight, right? That's great. Well, does anybody have any like fantastic videos that they watched this week from anybody, or some shout outs for the other makers and or creators?
I was impressed by I'm gonna mess it up. Agate enchantments and rock wizardry.
I can't say that either.
Oh, well, I'm glad it's not just me. No, well, they did the stone knife handle for like a spring assisted pocket knife, where they had to like carve it out to put the mechanism for the folding pocket knife in there. Yeah. That was quite impressive. I mean, you see, I thought I liked that.
No,
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, when I was hanging out with Denny and CJ there on the beach a few days ago, we were talking about that, and I was just like, I'm pretty sure that probably would have gone through one of my walls by then, because it's
very technical.
Oh, it was so technical, and he didn't quite do it right the first time, so he shimmed it up. And I mean, he was talking about the learning curve on this project, and fail, recover. So yeah, that was amazing. Definitely, Jared. Yeah,
it's certainly one that I think people could watch and learn from, and learn from his mistakes and go do it better yourself.
Yeah. No, I give him a lot of props for that, because one of my earlier knife handles that I did that I've done had a spring in there, but I just replaced the handle, so I didn't have to worry about like carving anything out. But when you go to glue it, and that glue gets in where the spring is at, it just messes everything up.
Mhm.
And so I give him a lot of props for being able to actually pull that off. That I know that had to have taken a lot of work.
And it turned out so beautifully too. You know, the outside and everything, you know, he knocked it out of the park with that knife for sure.
Yeah.
That was great.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I do feel bad for Agadad though.
Oh, I know. That's such a bummer.
losing his video.
That I felt that in my soul. I'm like, oh man. I'm glad he was able to actually have a finished product and, you know, kind of go through some of the steps that he did. But to lose that kind of footage for something that hasn't been done before, that sucks. That really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
Cat.
What about you, Kurt? Do you have a shout or a maker's favorite or anything?
Oh, only videos I've really seen this week were the Makers Challenge videos, and they're all awesome. So I can't really pick and choose a favorite.
Good answer.
Shout out for I've been trying to find new channels to kind of help, and I was talking to one person earlier or the last few days, I guess. The channel is called This Rocks. They're just starting out. They're in northern Nevada, I think. But she's been sending me pictures of obsidian that she's been finding in her area and stuff. And she's new at doing the videos and so forth. But it's a channel that I'd recommend checking out.
Nice.
And she has some cool video footage of their recent road trip and seeing all the wild horses out in that area, which would be amazing. But
awesome.
Yeah. So that's a channel I'd recommend checking out for a new channel.
This Rocks.
This Rocks, yeah.
Cool. We'll check it out.
There's two of them. One, there's her, and she's a rock hound, and then I think her daughter is a silversmith. So they're kind of cool.
Nice.
Right on. Yeah. Like you said, the Makers Challenges that we've been watching, you know, basically binge watching like all these different premieres and everything, have been incredible. And, you know, again, what a great thing. Off of the docket of the Makers, there was, I got who was the one that did the glow ring?
That was Jason, Rockhounding Life.
Oh my gosh, that glow ring was so good. So I was just like, you know, I gotta make a ring now. And so that was pretty exciting. But the Pennsylvania rock hunter, he found some really neat calcite and filmed this like great big Widowmaker cliff that he was finding it under. And that was kind of fun to watch. And then the Cliffwalker Rockhound, Cliffwalker Rockhounding is the challenge or the channel. And he found these like really cool geodes, and he did a take on the Makers Challenge kind of on his own too. And he made this lamp out of the geode that turned out super cool. Like,
nice.
I wanted it. Yeah. And so I think it's these guys that are getting spun up on some of the inspiration from what is happening, and it's not like it's a raising of the bar, more as that it's like a particle accelerator for everybody to just, you know, really get amped up and do neat things.
But, hey, I think a friendly one-upping is good.
That's good. This is not competitive, but yeah.
Competition it can be good. I mean, if it's in the right context, like friendly competition is good. And I mean, you can be competitive against yourself too if you're wanting to one up yourself. But if you can find someone to bounce off of back and forth, be like, all right, I see what you did. Let me up the ante a little bit, and we'll come back at you.
Yeah.
As long as everyone's in good spirit about it, I think that competition can be good in the right
What-
context. I can't stress that enough.
Right on. So, what are you working on now, Jared?
Well, I'm kind of working on a bigger video project. I don't know how many people out there know who J. Harlem Bretz is, but he was okay. So he was the geologist about like in the 1920s that first kind of discovered the whole idea of the Missoula floods, which really impacted the way the Northwest looks today. I find his story to be absolutely fascinating. So I'm putting together a video of going to the exact locations that he went to where he developed his theories about the Missoula floods. So It's going to be like following in the footsteps of J. Harlem Bretz 100 years later. And I think
cool.
it's going to be good. It's a bigger project. It's script writing and all of that. But I think it'll be a different take on the whole tale that hasn't really been seen. So and if I'm going to plug a book. There's a book here that's really good. It's Bretz's Flood. All right. Bretz's Flood is an amazing book. And there's some serious mean girl action happening back there between those geologists.
Yeah. So yeah, there was weird blood going on back then.
Yeah.
For him.
But it's a fascinating story. So
awesome. Are you going to be visiting erratics and things for us?
So I have a lot of his papers that he wrote as well, and I really wanted to go visit some of the exact locations that he stood in, and kind of take some of his historical photos and be there today.
That'd be cool.
So I'm going for that Ken Burns feel.
Yeah. Wow, that is super good. That is a really neat idea. Can't wait to see it. Please hurry. Right on. Okay, who can top that? Next.
I still feel like I can't talk. I still feel like I can't talk about my top secret project because
you got to hold it in.
I mean,
it's good.
Like I said, like Agadad got to it first. But he did a fantastic job on it, and I give him a lot of credit because it looks awesome.
Oh yeah,
and you couldn't really see in hit the thumbnail. Like you think it'd be like a small one, but no, it's. But it's awesome. But no, I still have some stuff in the works I want to get done, but I'm not going to post it until I'm able to get past that 1,000 subscriber mark and the watch hours and stuff like that, because I feel like it's a good one. Good too, actually, because it's going to be a 2-part project. Technically 2.5, almost 3, but yeah, I think someone said that I should do a Santa next time, a pooping Santa. I'm tempted. Maybe we'll see.
Just make one gnome a year.
One gnome a year. I mean, I could probably use the same templates and just add like little snowballs for like the fluffs for the shirt and the hat, and
there you go.
But we'll see. But anyone have any other projects?
You're
okay, so
a little attitude.
Who has an angry cat?
Right. So Kurt, do you have something coming up?
Well, I think I'm going to try, depending on the weather conditions, I'm going to try and get back out some Nancy Hanks Sculpts because I want more of that green candy. And
yes, me too.
But with the Makers Challenge, there is one project that I've been doing a ton of research on, and I haven't seen anyone else do it on YouTube or on the web. And I've seen like one other person attempt it using like some fishing like line material, but and it's regarding stones and jewelry and so forth. But the technology exists, but not at the size that I need it to exist at. So I'm trying to figure out a way of manipulating it and so forth. So that would be cool if I'm able to actually do it.
Send me a
But-
message. I want to know.
Yeah, I know. Maybe you'll know something that will help me get to where I need to be to do it.
Maybe.
So, yeah. But as far as projects this week, it's just probably going back out to Nancy Hanks Gulch and also finishing the video that I did for Nancy Hanks Gulch from yesterday, and maybe play around on the flat lap and so forth. So
Nice.
that's about everything I have going.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I I think I'll the washout's happening, so I'll probably go back down to the beach. You're allowed 3 gallons a year, so I probably have about a gallon left that I can go get. And the flat lap, what I think is my projection for the video is find it and then check it out, and then I want to grind 2 windows, front and back, so you can see through, because so many times it's kind of funny when Katie did and Theo and the others on the Yellowstone have these huge honking agates, right? And you're just like, wow, we just like get these little beach agates. But every single one, it might be carnelian, it might be a moony agate, it might be a honey, it might be a blue black. And so it's kind of neat to see what it looks like ahead of time with the rind on it, and then grind it off and see all the fortification lines, or if it's botryoidal, or what kind of design is happening inside.
Right.
So I thought I'd do something like that for the upcoming video that should drop sometime this weekend if I can get on that thing. That, or else I'm going to go snowboarding. Oh.
Nice. It's doing everything.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Well, unless anyone has any other questions, we can probably go ahead and start ending things. So we're almost at 2 hours.
It's a long one.
You guys, 45 minutes.
I know, just a month.
It's hard because we get to talking, and it's hard just to ask just a couple questions and call it good, because you can easily get 45 minutes just from 3 questions.
Yeah.
But I thought this was pretty awesome, and we'll have to have you on again, Jared. This is
Hey, anytime.
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming. Yeah.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it. But before we end things, does anyone have any just friendly words of encouragement for people out there?
Keep creating. No matter what. That's mine.
Yes, and when you're out on trails and stuff, pick up the trash that you bring in, and if you see other trash, pick it up and just help the environment.
Pick up
Yeah.
every rock that you think looks good, take it home and smash it. You
No,
learn so much about what's on the inside of stuff.
I love it.
I guess if you're planning on making inlays for rings and so forth, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, all the rock dust at your house.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think my words of encouragement would be, if something fails, don't give up. Just keep trying. Things will work out eventually. And if you get frustrated or you get irritated over something you're trying to do, just stop what you're doing, take a break, and come back to it. It will still be there when you get back to it. But with that being said, let's go ahead and end things here. Thanks everyone for stopping by, and we will see you guys next week. Rock on.
All right. Later.